Testing 1 2 3. Microphone check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Scorpio rising. What is up? Welcome back, everybody. So we're going to talk about some breaking news, worldwide news, true crime news, whatever we want. These are some of the stories that I've been following. It's good to see you, Scorpio. CJK, welcome in. She Warrior, good to see you. Beth Gonzalez, what's going on? Jody Lynn. Okay, so I think we're going to start with the lefty lunatics celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. So I found a compilation on X. We'll play that. And then kind of, I don't know, I guess piggybacking, segueing off of that, we'll go into Jimmy Kimmel being fired. And then we'll look at all of that through a First Amendment, from a First Amendment perspective. You know, are we looking at a First Amendment issue or not? And I'll give you my opinion about that. So that's how we'll start today's live stream. Then we'll move over to Trump's designation of Antifa as the major terrorist organization. Is that realistic? We'll look at it from a legal standpoint, practical. We'll look at the practical implications of it. And what does that mean? And what the fuck is an Antifa? So look at what is an Antifa. Then we're going to look at Crystal Rogers' case. Brooks Halleck just received life in prison without parole. Well, at least for years. Then also, the main suspect in the Madeleine McCann case was released today. Yesterday or today. Was recently released. I believe it was today. So there's Crystal Rogers, Brooks Halleck, Madeleine McCann. And now this guy is the number one suspect in the case. Christian Bruckner. He was locked up in a German prison. And then we're going to look at a very interesting case here. The death of Celeste Rivas. Now, I wasn't familiar who this guy was. He goes by the name of David. He spells it capital D, the number 4, lowercase v, lowercase d. His real name is David Anthony Burke. But apparently he's been on tour, and recently Celeste Rivas was reported missing. Well, she was recently found dismembered in the trunk of his impounded Tesla. So we're going to take a look at some interesting facts and things surrounding this case, including a recent video that he made actually putting a deceased person in a trunk. Go figure. So that's what you can expect from today's live stream. So what we're doing tonight is we're trying to get used to the 5 to 7 time slot, because we're going to be doing this on a daily basis come October. It's going to be True Crime Daily Dives, or Sleuth Intuition's True Crime Daily Dive. Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 Mountain Standard Time. We'll typically start with true crime news, political news, whatever, cases that you guys suggest. So we're going to have a portion where it's going to be everything crowd suggestions. So the Sleuth crew, you guys can send me missing person cases, personal cases to you, things that you would like to see receive more attention. So we'll spend maybe 15, 20 minutes doing that, and then covering stuff like we're going to do today. Then we'll probably take like a short break, maybe plug some stuff that I got going on personally with Sleuth Intuition and all that. Then we're going to take phone calls. So every day we're going to take phone calls. We're going to spend half an hour to 45 minutes taking calls from people. You can call it on your phone, your cell phone, or you can join me live here on panel. But we're going to dedicate a specific amount of time every day to that. People can call in and give suggestions for the shows. They can try to debate me. They can try to debate somebody in the chat. Maybe we can get multiple people to call in. They can debate each other. Like it's going to be a free-for-all. Anybody can join during that time period. And then we'll go ahead and, once we shut that down, every day I'm going to have a special report for you guys. Hopefully a lot of interviews. So it's going to be during that segment and the last part of the stream that we'll have people call in, or I'll just kind of do my own special report and cover cases and things like that. What's going on with you, She Warrior? Scorpio says, I don't think Bruckner has anything to do with Maddie's disappearance, to be honest. I don't know. There's a lot of things that say he could be, right? He has the MO, he has the opportunity. He's definitely sexually motivated. He's a sexually motivated killer. Why do you say you don't think he is? I mean, how creepy is it that this guy right here, a known killer, a known sadist, sexual sadist, probably a psychopath, and the number one suspect in Madeleine McCann's case, in her disappearance and most likely her murder, right? He is now a free man. I mean, he's going to kill again. I wouldn't want to win that lottery. Call that the Faulkner lottery. Or the Bruckner, sorry. Call it the Bruckner lottery. Too many were over the top, calling for the death of his wife, which I saw, inciting violence while celebrating a murder of an innocent man. All right, well, let's get started. Let's talk about Charlie Kirk. Now, we'll look at some of the updates on the case, but really we're going to focus mainly in on these crazy people who were celebrating his death and how somehow they were convinced that he was a Nazi or something, racist, Nazi. And when they call people a racist Nazi today, what that means is you're a Christian. And you might be white. So if you're a white Christian, automatically to these people, you are a racist Nazi. You don't even have a choice. Just by making those two decisions, it defaults for them. You've defaulted into that category, whether you like it or not. What's going on with you, Beth? So if we're going to start there, let's see. What do we have lined up here for Charlie's file? So we're going to look at a compilation of people who are celebrating the death of Charlie, and then those same people being fired a day or two later. We're also going to hear from J.D. Vance on the issue and what he thinks, and if he thinks it's a First Amendment issue or not. And that's going to be the question to you, chap. Is this a First Amendment issue? All this bullshit about cancel culture. We'd like to hear from you how you feel about it. Then I'm going to take you here to my hometown. A guy running through Charlie Kirk's memorial and just trampling on it, wearing the very same T-shirt of the assassin. I mean, I'm telling you, these people are evil. These are all of the fringe mental health cases that are not getting any attention by anybody but the Democratic Party. They need doctors to pay attention to them, not disgusting politicians. Also, UNC, Wilmington, University of North Carolina. Um, we have a lunatic leftist, another fringe MK Ultra Democrat byproduct, destroying another memorial for Charlie Kirk. And if the tables or the coin was flipped, this person would have been beaten senseless or been beaten to death or beaten within an inch of their life. Here, these people are nonviolent. They actually begin to pray for this individual. For me, that was very reminiscent of Martin Luther King Jr., right? Nonviolent. So we'll look at a little, we'll see if that's a fair comparison. That's what it reminded me of. That's what it's all about, right? Nonviolence. Because once you lose that moral high ground, which means as soon as you become violent, you automatically lose the argument. It's instant. So once you're violent and you're doing all this crazy stuff, you automatically lose. What we're seeing with Charlie Kirk and his assassination is certain political groups saying, we don't care. We're not going to lose. We'll just get violent. We don't care if it makes sense. We really don't care anymore. We're actually shocked that you've been arguing with us this entire time and are now barely realizing that we don't give a fuck. Like, we're here to make our stand in our way. We'll crush you like a bug. Because remember, we're talking about mental health here. People who are bloodthirsty, sadistic even. So we'll look at that. And then also Kash Patel says others could be involved. So that's what you can expect right now. But before we get into that, let's see what the chat's talking about. Never a Believer, welcome back. ABC listens to their affiliates. They canceled Roseanne and stole her show from her just a few years ago. This isn't First Amendment. This is about the money. Absolutely right. We're going to get into what happened to Jimmy Kimmel just shortly after this portion here. And I do have 3 examples here of people who supported Donald Trump and entertainers that supported Donald Trump and were fired for it. Roseanne Barr, Gina Carano, Scarlett Fakar. Not fuck her, but Fakar. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm glad that you brought that up. Okay, let's see. Let's check on the chat real quick. Good to see you, Louise. Scorpio says Gray Hughes will call. Hey, anybody can call. We won't discriminate. You can call, make suggestions for the show. You can call and talk about a case that's important to you. You can call and talk shit if you want to. Whatever. We're going to have 30 to 45 minutes of whatever. Which case is that, Scorpio? Yikes. Well, time to relax, kick off your shoes, and get into some true crime here. Just go like this. Goose fraba. Beth says they are demons or demon possessed to celebrate the death of anyone. There's already theories rolling around that Tyler Robinson is innocent. These guys. Yep, I thought it was Israel that did it. Shit, maybe it was. They don't want influential people talking about what they're doing in Gaza. Well, when I said that word, my screen glitched. Interesting. I need to close that. All right. All right, we're all caught up on the chat. Here we go. So we're going to start here with people who are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. I found a compilation. Not sure who put this out. I found it on X. It may have been InfoWars, possibly. But I've pretty much already seen all of these videos, but they put them together. And then towards the end, it's the same folks kind of complaining, fired for the comments that they made about Charlie Kirk. So there's people going around recording these videos that are mostly on TikTok and sending them to people's bosses saying like, hey, this is your employer. Like, is this the kind of shit that you represent? Then they get fired. You guys think that's cool? Think that's okay? And either way, does it have anything to do with the First Amendment?
News. We think that Charlie Kirk just got shot in the neck. Hey, ooh, ah, ooh.
All right. So how is that normal? I don't see anything normal about that.
Oh my god, guys, did you hear? The world's finally started to heal. Charlie Kirk was shot. Ooh.
Charlie's dead.
Jeez.
How nice.
He said that gun deaths are worth it to keep the Second Amendment. All right, bet, bitch.
Okay, so saying that gun deaths have to exist to keep the Second Amendment doesn't mean that you go kill Charlie Kirk and assassinate him to prove his point. What that means is if you're living in a free society, you should be allowed to carry your guns around. And if we're dealing with an increasingly, I don't know what you want to call it, epidemic when it comes to mental health, you're going to have these types of issues. That doesn't mean you got to go begging the government for security and to take everybody's guns away. That's not the solution to anything. So what Charlie Kirk is saying is if you want to be a free citizen, that includes people being able to bear arms and carry weapons for protection. And from time to time, things are going to happen. You're going to have murders. You're going to have assaults and things, people protecting themselves. He's saying it goes with the territory. It doesn't mean like, hey, we have to sacrifice somebody ritualistically like these fucking idiots. They misinterpret everything. With these types of people, it's always apples and oranges. They miss the point. They never get the big picture. It's like, whoop, right over the top.
You're telling me I wake up from a nap and a cis white man shot and killed? Oh my god.
Charlie Kirk got shot and he's dead.
I bet
Jesus.
if you ask Charlie now if he thought a few deaths so that everybody got to keep their Second Amendment rights was okay by him, I think he'd probably say, as long as it wasn't me. Guess he shouldn't have manifested that shit.
I mean, you can hear the wickedness. Sounds like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Bye, Charlie Kirk. Like you said, people getting shot and killed for the Second Amendment is so worth it.
See, gun rights are great after their political enemies are assassinated. Now we love gun rights. We love the Second Amendment. Charlie was right because now he's the one that's murdered. You guys see the the sickness and all of that? It's very scary. And it's interesting to see all these people getting fired because these are your coworkers. These are your family members. Tyler Robinson was from a Christian conservative home. You know what I mean? Send him to college and look what happened.
I never thought we'd agree on anything.
Oh no, someone shot Charlie Kirk. Look, I don't know who needs to hear this today, but that's how you pick up a woman.
I'm already seeing some of y'all do it. That moral standpoint of, oh, I don't care how you feel politically. Nobody deserves to. Wrong. Some people do deserve to. He was a demon.
I swear I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about this.
So these are the people serving your food, watching your children while you're at work, teaching your children. You guys have to be careful. I mean, we are living in a very disturbing time. We're dealing with more compartmentalized, sadistic individuals than ever before.
It's so unfortunate.
Let this be a lesson to all those other conservative freaks, those little weirdos with podcasts. Just know your necks are on the line. Your necks. No. Your necks.
Yeah, and nobody's scared of you, little bleach tips.
Red colored people are like, he was such a good person. Why did he get shot? If you've seen the video on Twitter, please listen to the last 10 seconds of what he said before he went.
Do you hear it in the voice? That anger, that demon possession.
And if you, honestly, y'all, he had it coming. I'm so sorry.
That's why he shot Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk is dead? Ha! You live a hateful life, you get a hateful ending. Point.
And why is he hateful? Because he's religious and he's against abortion and he speaks common sense. When you're mentally deranged, common sense doesn't work. It basically derails your program, right? You can't have Charlie Kirk running around exposing you for how deranged you are. And that's what he did.
Blank, period. I don't feel sorry for you. You're not getting my thoughts and prayers. You're getting my ha-has.
What's your opinions of Kirk's death? I don't give a fuck about Kirk's death. Nigga, I don't give a fuck about no white man dying. I don't give a fuck about no motherfucking white boy dying.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. He did say that gun deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights.
But not murder, right? They just miss it. It's like they don't believe in anything. It's all anarchy. It's pure chaos. Exactly what the devil wanted. It's what the devil ordered. They're just his servants. They're here to sow the seed of chaos. They have no rhyme or reason. And that's one thing that Charlie Kirk did, was he exposed that. He said, debate me. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to listen to you. And then when they would start to talk, it all became clear to them. So it's like he didn't even have to do anything. He just would let them speak. And once it came out of their mouth, it clicked on its own. He just kind of sat back and watched and went, oh, did you see that? He's like, it's a little bit different when you're not sitting in a room. You're trying to score with some weird hippie chick, doing drugs and listening to your sick professor who all he wants to do is teach Marxism to you and brainwash you. So you're in a facility that you trusted. You went there looking for answers and to achieve a higher earning. So that's what you expect you're getting. You're downloading it. You're taking notes. You're like, oh shit, that's crazy. I never looked at it that way, right? It's just MK Ultra programming all the way.
They got him in the neck. They got him in the neck. Shit whip. Like a fucking samurai film. Oh, good news. Good news, everyone.
He has 2 kids. Fuck his kids. They give a fuck about that white boy kid. They probably autistic anyway. They give a fuck about that white boy kid. Fuck them kids. Fuck that white boy.
CK got AK and he's gone.
Why do they all look
Across
like this?
America, a lot of people are getting phone calls saying, don't come in today.
You're fired. Get out. Get out.
I was just fired from my fucking job. I was just fired from my fucking job. Now I have nothing but this. I have nothing but this website. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing anymore.
Yeah, you might want to go ahead and put him on the watch list.
I have nothing anymore. I have nothing
Or her.
anymore.
I'm not sure.
I got fired. I got me fired from my job.
Oh shit. This guy is the funniest guy I've ever seen. He is so, he's like, I have an update for you. Y'all got me fired.
Tonight, an upstate school teacher is out of a job after his social media post about Kirk's death.
You're fired.
Hi, my name is Quinn Pratt, and I like going on the internet and finding people who like to make fun of Charlie Kirk's death, and I let their employers know what they're up to online. And we got 7 more confirmed fires.
How do you feel about this guy? That's crazy. He's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about. Chat. Between him and Charlie, there was no discussion of money, and there wasn't any animosity. It's so sad how far Candace has fallen. I like Candace Owens. She is turning into a bit of a shock jock, but hey. It's going to take Erica to come out and set the record straight, and that isn't what she needs right now. CJK says some speech isn't covered by freedom of speech. Right. Well, for instance, CSAM, child, sensitive child sexual material isn't legal. So, I mean, you have to draw the line, right? Can't yell fire in a crowded building. Yeah, cancel culture is what we're dealing with. Is that what we're seeing here with Jimmy Kimmel and people who are, just expressing their opinion? I agree. What's up, Tony? I agree. I use the word satanic is what I use. That's the word I like to use because that's what it is. Satanism. And when they argue, they know it. They just think it's funny to argue and manipulate, and spin things. And they probably are shocked by how much breath we waste arguing with them, right? They think it's funny because they never believed it to begin with. We think, hey, we can change your mind. And when I say we, I'm just talking about normal, everyday citizens who just want to have a good family, a good job, and no stress from their government. Isn't that what we all want? The freedom to do anything that we want. For instance, if I wanted to be a woman right now, I could be. We need to keep that freedom. If I want to be a woman, I should be able to dress like a woman, talk like a woman, act like a woman, but also accept the fact that I was not born a woman. But I am free to live my life as one and not care what you guys think, right? It's better to not feel like I'm under some kind of inquisition if I make these choices. I should be free to do those things and also have the understanding of what comes along with it. And a lot of times I just feel like these people are just suffering from the lack of God, really. It's like the main vitamin that your body needs is that connection with God, and you're like a malnutrition. You're dying slowly, spiritually. Scorpio says degeneracy. Yeah, I feel like they're like spoiled brats or something. I don't know. It's weird. They're like having a tantrum. Jody Lynn, batshit crazy, angry, evil, walks among us. Okay, now let's say somebody killed them. What would you think about that? What if somebody shot them in the neck? How would you feel about that? Would you say, well, they had it come? They shouldn't have been talking about Charlie Kirk and celebrating his death, and then they wouldn't have got shot in the neck. Honest question. Yep, they're amongst us. Our neighbors, our school teachers, law enforcement officers, politicians, family members. When you let your children go to stay at a friend's home, it's, somebody over there. It's a potential predator. These people are sick. Yep, I agree with that, Tony. She said he was living by the sword. What a dummy. Yeah, he's not. He never talked about assassinating any of his political rivals. He was very nonviolent. Honestly, like it reminds me of Martin Luther King. Everything that he's doing. Like we'll take it to the street, nonviolent. Right? With the power of his faith. So let's see what else we got with here. Let's go to J.D. Vance on this subject here of people celebrating Charlie's death and whether or not it's a First Amendment
exists
issue.
for both the people who repent and ask forgiveness. Justice also exists for people who don't repent and don't ask for forgiveness. I really do hope that the person who murdered Charlie Kirk.
Oh, here, let me put that on the back burner real quick. Let's catch up on the chat all the way. Welcome in, Badass. The left seemed to forget that Tucker Carlson was let go for exposing the truth about January 6th. And Don Imus almost got fired for laughing at black college girls' looks. Well, that's very similar to what happened to Roseanne. She made a comment about somebody about their appearance. And apparently she was part black. And that's what got her canceled. But what really got her canceled was her support for Donald Trump. It's like if you're supporting one of our political rivals, you have to be on your best behavior. Because if you slip up one bit, boom, you're out of there. When lukewarm Christianity is normalized and biblical Christianity is seen as extreme, the pastors also hating on him are also evil, not truly saved and no man of God. Exactly. There's a lot of people out there that are very judgmental, right? It's like, wait a minute, when did you become God? That's the part of Christianity and religion that I don't like, is, people forgetting that you can't judge me. Only God can judge me. You can't judge anybody. You're not worthy of that. Yeah, we all have discernment. Those two things are not the same. In quotations from Charlie Kirk quote, "The further society drifts from the truth, the more they will hate those who speak it." Yep, and that's why he was killed. Because these people couldn't handle the truth, right? You can't handle the truth. Did you order the code red? Hell yeah, and I would do it again. Inciting violence isn't free speech either. Yeah, I think that's very similar to yelling fire in a crowded room, people getting trampled to death. Like you're basically manipulating a situation to harm people, to cause harm. So you can't do that with speech. And as far as the First Amendment, there's limits. Definitely limits. What's up, YouTube? Bad actors. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you can't get fired. Yep, and that's what J.D. Vance is going to give us a good explanation of that. He's going to articulate it quite well. J. Ray, what up? Good to see you. Sparky, good to see you. Richard Nixon was fired or impeached for a lie. Watergate. Peggy O, welcome in. Jody Lynn, good to see you. Scorpio says, I never cared for Kimmel anyway, so I don't really care. Yeah, he's another hypocrite, right? He comes from some Comedy Central show about two womanizers, right? Smacking women's asses, having them running around in bathing suits, and then he tries to take the moral high ground. That's what I'm telling you. Like, these Democrats, they don't give a shit. Most politicians, I'm going to say Republicans and Democrats, most of them do not practice what they preach. They're just there to spin it. They're like defense attorneys, right? They work with what the public knows, and then they put it into some puzzle. They form it together until it makes a shape, some pareidolia, and then they sell it to the public. There's your Odinism. If they can find enough pieces to put it together that it creates a story that they believe they can sell, they will, knowing damn well it's a lie. Bad actor says what Kimmel said was wrong. Carson said it's not the platform to be so political late night. I just hate it. I hate when entertainers become political. For whatever reason, it'll kill everything. As far as me liking them or even having an interest, like, it just goes away sometimes. I can't even control it. That's what happened with football. I used to love football. I used to watch every Arizona Cardinals football game, the Phoenix Suns, the Coyotes, the Diamondbacks. When all that shit went political, I just stopped watching. Thank God for boxing. Tony says no one should be killed. You don't believe in the death penalty? Yeah, we're not as civilized as we think we are. Peggy O, I had an employee tell me they pled the Fifth Amendment. I plead the Fifth. That's funny. Oh, there you go, Louise. The Man Show. Yep. Where they would guzzle beer and smack asses. Then he put on a suit and changed his whole philosophy. You know what I mean? Fucking hypocrites. No consistency ever. Democratic Party, my grandmother was part of her entire life, and uncles and aunts. Okay, we're all caught up.
Justice exists for both the people who repent and ask forgiveness. Justice also exists for people who don't repent and don't ask for forgiveness. I really do hope that the person who murdered Charlie Kirk eventually accepts that what he did was evil and terrible, but we still got to have justice anyway. And I think that for the people who are celebrating Charlie Kirk, look, we have a First Amendment in this country. The First Amendment protects a lot of very ugly speech. But if you celebrate Charlie Kirk's death, you should not be protected from being fired for being a disgusting person. If you're a university professor who benefits from American tax dollars, you should not be celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And if you are, maybe you should lose your job, or your university should face a loss of funding. If you are the kind of person who thinks that Charlie Kirk was justifiably murdered, sometimes the government can't do anything about that. But you know what can is civil society. And I've actually been gratified to see all these people standing up and saying, yes, we have free speech, and yes, we have free debate. But if you're celebrating the death of a young father, you ought to pay some consequences for it. And the American people are rising up against that evil. It's a great thing to see.
Bam. Knocked it out of the park. Sparky says, when did politics change so much in the country? Was it Obama? Yeah, I think it was. It was another trick, right? We thought we'd come so far. You know, everybody was so proud. Like, yes, we'll have, we finally got this African-American politician who's made it all the way, to the pinnacle, running for president. He's got good ideas, and, people are passionate about it. We all got behind him. We didn't even care about a lot of the politics. We were ready for that. We were ready to show how great we were as a nation. But what they did was they exploited us. They put a black man up there so that's what we would say. We just all we saw was color and how, what it represented and how ready and how we all wanted that together, right? I remember crying. I voted for it. I remember crying. I was so proud of our country. But that's not what we got. He didn't do anything for Black America. He didn't do anything for the inner city. He was just another Marxist Trojan horse. And it was disgusting, and it only divided us more than ever. I'll never forget that. How I felt. All right, check this out. This happened here in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where we're at now. Check this shit out. Look at this guy. And we got a lot of these crazy leftists here in Arizona. They come out in force. They don't fuck around. And one thing you can't really see in this video is that he's wearing the same t-shirt as Charlie Kirk's assassin. That one with the American flag and the eagle on it. I mean, how scary is that? How do you know he's not going to fucking shoot somebody? Just another person convinced that being white and a Christian makes you a Nazi. That's all that happened to that poor kid. He's lost. And the Democratic Party is a lot like a pimp. You know what I mean? You have these young girls addicted to drugs. They run away from home. All they want is their next fix. You know, here comes the pimp. I'll take care of you. Come over here. Come with me. I'll keep you safe. I'll ride with you, you know, when you go get your drugs. And when you go hook up with the Johns, I'll take care of you. I'll protect you. That's the Democrat Party. They're pimps to the fringe, unhealthy citizens of our country. And then somehow they group them into one little group, right? Oh, we'll make them all one group. You know, we can't really control one of them. We'll just make them one group. And we'll get them to all vote for the Democrats. Every Democrat that we put up there, they'll just vote. And we'll keep giving them shit, right? We'll just keep doing whatever they want. As long as they keep us in power, we'll keep giving them free shit. It's fucking crazy. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. And here's the one from UNC in Wilmington.
Take the paintbrush out of her hand. Take the paintbrush out of her hand. Do not. Hey! Hey, no. Go to touch me, Kylie. Go ahead.
Yeah, someone call UPD.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, yeah, they're coming.
Hey, everyone back point. Now.
Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah. This is crazy.
Go Cardinals.
I think do not take away the paintbrush. Do not.
Murder is bad.
It's crazy because you touch
whenever y'all
touch. We did not do that.
I know. Yes,
Yeah, she got
hands
for
everyone.
All of our
favorite left. Hey, you guys, if you guys,
all of us.
whoever's believers, why don't we go ahead and pray together?
Yeah,
absolutely. Heavenly Father, we thank you for who you are. We thank.
Okay, so they start praying for the young lady. She comes in with all of her hate, destroying this beautiful memorial. They did a good job on it. But at the end of the day, it's just paint. It's just paint. And there's nothing more important than that young lady there. She's obviously lost. She's being pimped out, right? By the Democratic Party. That's all that's going on right here. So for them to begin to pray with her is or pray for her is very reminiscent of Martin Luther King. That's something he would do. But if this was a Democratic some lefty Antifa memorial for somebody that they lost, and a Christian came in and did something like this, they would beat that person nearly to death. They would beat them. And I think that that's what this young lady was expecting to see, was a lot of hatred and perhaps violence to make them look bad. But this shows the difference, the contrast here. This is you're not going to get closer to what Martin Luther King was about than this. nonviolence. That's what it's all about. Once you become violent, you lose the moral high ground and you lose the argument. But we're dealing with a radicalized political group that knows they're wrong. They came into this knowing they've lost the argument, and they don't care anymore. It's their time. People don't seem to get that yet. Okay, so they prayed for the young lady. Let's watch the
Basic
clip. This clip.
philosophy, which grows out of the nonviolent tradition, is that a moral man cannot in good conscience accept injustice and adjust to an evil system. He must resist it. He has a moral obligation to resist evil. But in resisting it, he must recognize that he stands on higher moral grounds when he will resist that unjust system non-violently. The individual.
Non-violently. That's the only way. Once we forget the power in that, we've already lost the fight. I mean, look what happened to Charlie Kirk. You have people who are changing their entire lives to try to be like him. More people are going to church than ever. It's crazy. The power of nonviolence. Everything he did was out in the open, challenging ideas, and not people, not their color. Just telling them, stand up to the microphone. Tell me what you're about. Tell me why you believe that and why I'm such a Nazi. And then say it out loud. It just sounds so ridiculous that even them they have an eureka moment, an epiphany. And they say, oh shit, like I really am full of shit. Everybody that I've been talking to is full of shit. But you know what? I don't care. To me, that's the definition of a cult. You can't go against the cult. You can't go against the narrative, or you will be shunned from that cult. Okay, and this is the last thing I have for Charlie, and then we're going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel. Kind of piggyback, segue off of what we've talked about. But here's Kash Patel saying that others could be involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Check it out.
On Discord.
There are a number of individuals that are currently being investigated and interrogated, and a number yet to be investigated and interrogated specific to that chat room. So we are very much in our ongoing posture of investigation.
So others could have been involved.
Yes, sir.
Bam. Good to see you, Anthony. So there you have it. Others could be involved. All right. So what do you guys think about people being fired for saying that Charlie Kirk deserved? What do you think? Do you think they should have been fired? Is it not possible to be who you want to be politically and keep that separated from your job? Or is it once you are employed by somebody, they bear some kind of responsibility for your actions in some way, they represent you? Yeah, it's good to see you, Anthony, Sparky, everybody that's just showing up. Husband always says that back in the day, there were two things you never ask a person: how much money they made or who they voted for. People didn't talk much about it. Yeah, everybody was the quiet majority. Before Donald Trump, conservatives were the quiet majority. They didn't talk about how they voted. But unfortunately, Hollywood, the Democrat Party went out there and got their stable of bitches, so to speak. They became pimps, right? Gator Don't Play. What's that movie? Fucking Will Ferrell. Gator Don't Play. Let me pull that up. That shit's hilarious.
ago. You're not that same person you were.
Get it? There is a darkness inside of me. It wants to get out, wants to walk around. It wants some walking around money, and it wants to buy some shoes, and it wants to walk up with the people and say, "Hey, Gator don't play no shit."
Gator don't play no shit. It's funny. I'm sure he did. Bad actors. Talking about the bigger picture here. Peggy says the country has gone mad. What's up, Brett Decker? Bad actor says I'm a liberalish conservative. Yeah, I don't care what party it is. If your agenda is conservative, that's the way I'm voting. That's why I pushed Donald Trump and the whole MAGA thing. That was what do you call it? A slogan. Oh, got a big flex from Sparky. Look at that bicep. Damn. Are you using steroids? You got it, Sparky. This is our safe space. No microaggressions in the safe space. J Ray says depends on the job. Yeah, like if they're a journalist, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it depends. I think the employer reserves the right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you working here if you're not like mine, I guess. I don't want to feel like you're going to try to kill me for being a conservative, you know, or kill one of my other employees because you're so fucking radical. Label or category which further divide people. Most people are in the middle. The issue lies with our leaders failing to seek a common ground. It's all about power. The two-party dialectic. Protecting your brand, Sleuth. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, I got what you're saying. Protecting the brand. Yeah, because in the United States, if you go around saying things that are kind of fucked up, information is public. So they're like, who's this fucked up person? I bet their boss would want to know what they're up to, right? Obviously, this is completely shocking. If I was their employer, I would like to know these things, right? So, it's public information. The United States, man, it's going into a new, we're going into a whole new ball game. The future that awaits us is not what we expect. Go look at any of these weird movies, Back to the Future, anything trying to predict what our future will look like. They're always way off, right? It's going to be 10 times more fucked up than we could ever expect. Hiawatha, what's up? I was raised that you didn't talk about politics or religion in mixed company. For me, it was always in a political or a professional settings. You never talked about politics or religion because those are touchy subjects. And I feel like we're moving into an era where people are becoming more touchy, more sensitive, less rationale, more emotion. All right, let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, so what's going on with Jimmy Kimmel? What did Jimmy Kimmel do? Well, Jimmy Kimmel, in a monologue, Kimmel accused supporters of President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again movement of politicizing Kirk's death by trying to distance the shooter from their ideology, despite limited initial details about Robinson. And this is in quotations. We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang, trying to characterize this kid who killed Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, doing everything they can to score political points. So we'll hear it from him. What did he say?
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
So Jimmy Kimmel saying, well, what about Donald Trump? He's not showing it, he doesn't have an emotional response. So he uses this clip as an example of how cold Trump is. But I want you to pay attention to this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up?
So he didn't hear anything about the first part of that question. Now you can hear the loud ass helicopter in the background. So he doesn't even hear the first part. He doesn't even really hear the question. He just kind of gives it some kind of random answer. So he doesn't hear the question to begin with.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just...
See, he's like, I don't know what he said, but very good. Anyway, so for him to use that is kind of disgusting. But for him to get fired over this is very strange. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Murder, inciting hatred and violence, just like colleges don't recruit those with questionable social media posts. Yeah. Some people also were kicked out of school for their actions. Me too, J. Ray. Me too. Yeah, that's true. He's more of a libertarian. Like a true liberal. Yeah, very inflammatory, CJK. Very. I guess it could be considered borderline rude. You just don't want to offend people. I don't need the person to be like-minded individual. I'd prefer to keep politics out of the workplace, but it's not possible for some jobs. Man, I don't know. This is a tough one for me. I feel like if it was my employee, I'd be like, I don't want to see that shit around here. Like, if I see it around here, you're out of here. But I feel like people should be free to hate Charlie Kirk. And I think that there should be, consequences for those actions. So if a certain employer or college or private entity decides, like, hey, I don't want to be affiliated with that at all, you're fired. I think they deserve the right to do that. Me personally, I don't think I would do it because I enjoy diversity personally. Pat Buchanan have it out on CNN with his liberal Dem opponent. They both made me laugh like Hannity versus Combs. Okay. So let's take a look at Jimmy Kimmel on Tucker. And I don't know how long ago this was. I'm assuming maybe 2020. I can't remember when Fox let go of Tucker Carlson. But this is Jimmy Kimmel kind of celebrating him being basically canceled, just like he was recently. Take a look.
News has severed bow ties with Tucker Carlson. After all these years, they are parting ways, which means he was fired. I mean, that's really what parting ways means.
Yeah, we know what it means. Just like you were fired as well, buddy.
Tucker couldn't be reached for comment. He's already on a plane to Moscow to meet with his manager. But what a shock. I mean, what an absolutely delightful shock this is. Now Tucker can spend more time at home tanning his testicles and touching himself to that sexy green M&M. Sadly, he's probably not done poisoning old people's brains. The question now is, where will he do it next? Will he
Poisoning old people's brains. That's what Tucker Carlson's doing. For communicating conservative views and basic common sense. This is how he's labeled. So this guy is an agent. He is one of the, I don't know if he's a bottom bitch, but he's definitely in the corral. He's in the stable. Right? The Democrats have a stable of bitches. I don't know if he's a bottom or what, but he's definitely one of them. And they're pimping him. They're pimping him out to the highest bidder. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about 3 entertainers who supported Donald Trump during his first run for president and were fired for it. Let's talk about Roseanne Barr. She was fired from ABC's Roseanne Revival in May of 2018. Now, they claimed it was for a racist tweet, remember? I remember this like it was yesterday. After a racist tweet comparing Barack Obama aide Valerie Jarrett to an ape. Barr was a prominent Trump supporter, and the show's portrayal of her character as pro-Trump fueled criticism. ABC cited the tweet as aberrant, but Barr and some analysts argued her politics played a role in the swift cancellation, leading to the show's rebrand, The Connors, without her. Now, how fucked up is that? Like, we're talking, this is her show, right? It was named Roseanne. She created it. It was a brilliant show. I used to love watching that show with my family as a kid. Amazing. It was the first time, we saw what a low-income family actually looked like. That was more realistic. And kind of the way that we grew up. We grew up poor, We had everything we ever needed. But later on in life, you kind of start thinking like, man, I wasn't well off. But it's good to know, it's good to find that out later on in life and not realize it when you're young. I think that's good. To me, that means your parents did something right. Right? You may not have everything, have a whole lot, but the fact that you didn't know it, deep down you had everything. But some people, they didn't get to experience that. So it was good to have a realistic show, like that, and like Tool Time. Just these suburban families having realistic problems. It was refreshing. But during Donald Trump's run for president in 2016, things got ugly. We really saw cancel culture, and it was good to see Roseanne bring the show back. But in the first 2 or 3 episodes, because the environment was so politicized, energized with politics, she began writing it into the scripts, right? She's the writer. It's her show. And her character was a Trump supporter because that's who she was as a person. And the thing is it wasn't in violation of FCC or anything like that, so they can't get rid of her. So the moment that she does something distasteful that they can miscategorize, boom, they can get rid of her. But we all know it was because of Donald Trump. Everybody knows that. CJK, if you wore a MAGA cap into a Starbucks, would you watch them make your drink or cook a burger at Mickey D's? Some will do things just because of what you wear and who you support. Exactly. They don't care about morals anymore. They don't care about character. That stuff only matters to most people, but not all. J Ray, he made a comment. He made or gave an interview recently. It was a little distasteful. All right, let's talk about Gina Carano. Fired from Disney's The Mandalorian in February of 2021 after social media posts questioning the COVID-19 policies, election integrity, and comparing being a Republican in Hollywood to Jews under Nazi rule. And that's what I'm talking about. Conservatives are typically Christians or faith, have some kind of faith that they follow. And Hollywood is just satanic. They're in the stable of the Democratic bitches as well. They're right there. You know, those are the top bitches. You know, entertainment, movies, music, Hollywood, all of that shit is satanic. Okay, Carano was outspoken about her conservative views and Trump support, including posts aligning with election denialism. Right now, it's almost common knowledge that the 2020 elections were rigged. Right? You have Joe Biden, who is barely even alive. He looks like a robot. You're telling me that he received more votes than Barack Obama and during his first run for president, more votes than Donald Trump did when he became president? You're telling me he received more votes than any president ever in the history of the United States of America? Expect me to believe that? And then when he becomes president, it's like a fucking car crash? Yeah, no. It's obvious what was going on there, right? So people's lives were ruined for something that was just common knowledge for the rest of us. Wasn't familiar with this person. Scarlett Fakar, fired from Fox 26 Houston in 2016. And that was when Trump was running for president for the first time. After a Facebook post expressing support for Trump and criticizing the Obama administration as making America violent and racist. Huh. Where would they get these ideas from, you know? As a local TV personality, her conservative views clashed with the station's standards, leading to her dismissal despite the post being on a private page. All right. So let's see. We're going to move away from Jimmy Kimmel and Charlie Kirk. And let's look at Donald Trump and his recent statements on Antifa. What do you make of this? So he says, I'm pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designating Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, as a major terrorist organization. I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, I think I have a quick news clip here. Yeah, you have to be careful. Sparky says the Dems invented cancel culture, and now they don't like it. That's why you never want to go against the Constitution. You can never look at the opposing political view and then say, oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice parts of the Constitution because I don't like what they're doing. Because at any point, that high-powered weapon can be turned right at you. And that's kind of what's happening right now. You had the left and all of this cancel culture, and now that weapon's being reversed. And at some point, us as citizens need to realize we're not in control of this weapon, right? They're using this two-winged bird to fuck us up, you know? The last 8 years were complete turmoil. So it's almost like if they want to manipulate these right-brained people, they'll give them a Donald Trump, and then they'll get all the things that they want through him. And then when nobody's buying that shit anymore, they'll go ahead and wag the tail the other way. All right, we're going to go ahead and put in a Bill Clinton. And then we're going to get all the shit that we want, right? Same thing with George Bush, with W, when it came to the Patriot Act. We're giving away our freedoms and asking for security when they're all in on it, right? It's like the mob. They show up to your coffee shop and they start breaking, everything in there. And they say, hey, it looks like you need protection. If you pay us, we'll protect you. But what they're really saying is, if you pay us, we won't fucking destroy your store and kick your ass every day. All right, let's catch up on the chat, and then I'm going to play a quick video on this. I think it's from ABC. Yep, Hiawatha. Absolutely. And he's been very political. Like, the killer was a conservative. That was reckless. Yeah, and then also he refused to apologize. So they said, well, you got it wrong on that. You need to come forward and put an apology out. Kimmel said, no, I won't. So it was like he was protesting. To me about Trump. Should I say something to the company? No matter where you work, if you're on someone else's dime and time, you're representing them. Yep, that's true, Hiawatha. So it's their choice. How do they feel about you? Maybe there's a flip side to that coin. If somebody called them and said, hey, look, this person's supporting Charlie Kirk, maybe they don't like that. Maybe their politics are a little bit left-leaning loony too. So maybe they find that offensive and fire you for supporting Kirk. Right? It could go both ways. Peggy, I don't know if Jimmy Kimmel ever wrote any of his jokes. Never a believer. I want entertainers to entertain and not knock politicians unless they do it equally. Yeah, a little consistency would be refreshing right now. Yeah, I agree with that, Hiawatha. All right, let's take a look at what ABC had to say about Trump designating Antifa a major terrorist organization, or at least announcing his intentions to do so.
Says he will designate Antifa as a major terrorist organization. Now, Antifa is short for anti-fascist. It's a loose affiliation of mostly left-leaning activists. The president wrote on social media last night that he is, quote, designating Antifa a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster as a major terrorist organization. He also says he will investigate those who fund the group. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with more on this. Good morning, Natalie. Tell us more about this push from Trump and the administration to crack down on all, it seems, left-leaning groups.
Yeah, Errol, earlier this week, the vice president and White House officials said that the administration is going to do everything in its power to, quote, dismantle institutions that promote violence, political violence in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. The administration has also alleged that wealthy progressive foundations have funded what they call these far radical and left groups, including Antifa. Now, the president, in this new social media post late last night, overnight UK time, says that he will be recommending that the funding of Antifa be investigated. But based on current laws on the books and First Amendment protections, it's unclear how this would work, what the administration can really do.
Yeah, this is definitely more of a First Amendment issue here. I don't think Trump's going to have any success in this. Let's look at legal and definitional challenges here. So there's no clear mechanism for domestic designation. U.S. law allows the State Department to designate foreign terrorist organizations. So even if for whatever reason he says he gets it put on the books legally that Antifa is a terrorist organization, it's not like he can drone strike them, right? They're still U.S. citizens protected under the laws. This may not even be a realistic thing. This seems to be more like some kind of I don't know what you call it, like a war cry. I know he even has his face kind of painted. Okay, let's see. Designate foreign terrorist organization, FTOs, under the Immigration and Nationality Act, which criminalizes providing material and support. So really what he's going after is people like Soros, who are funding these people. Like Antifa isn't really organized per se, but the way they get their funding is from an organization. And those are the people who need to be tried under the RICO Act. But because of time, we're not going to spend too much time there. Oop. So what we'll do is we will move from Trump and Antifa. You guys in the comment section, if you're part of the replay crew, let me know if you think that's realistic or something that'll happen. I say it's just a big bluff. Legally, there's nothing he can do about it. Now, he can probably go after the whole George Soros and Alex Soros and all these people who are funding Antifa through the RICO Act, but not likely. So we're going to move right over here to Crystal Rogers and Brooks Houck. Now, he was just sentenced to, I think, 120 years, 130 years. Won't even be up for parole until after 20 years. Okay, so let me give you a quick overview, and then I want you guys to, sorry, I'll put this over here. And then we're going to watch a very powerful witness statement by Crystal Rogers' mother directed at Brooks Houck and his fucked up family. It's about 20 minutes long, but it's extremely inspiring and very empowering to watch this. So we're definitely going to sit through that entire thing. But Crystal Rogers was a 35-year-old mother of 5. She disappeared from Bardstown, Kentucky on July 3rd, 2015. Her car was found abandoned on the Bluegrass Parkway two days later with her purse and phone inside. Authorities believe she was murdered by her boyfriend, Brooks Houck, who is the father of her youngest child, who allegedly orchestrated the killing to avoid child support and custody issues. Houck, along with Joseph Lawson and Steve Lawson, Joseph's father, were indicted in 2023. In 2025, all 3 were convicted. Steve in May for conspiracy and tampering. He got 17 years. Brooks and Joseph in July for murder and conspiracy and tampering. Brooks received life in prison and Joseph 25 years on September 17th, 2025. Her body has never been found, and the case links to the unsolved 2016 shooting of her father, Tommy Ballard. Okay, so we are going to watch this witness testimony by Crystal Rogers' mother.
Or a firearm to test.
Let's go to Badass. Absolutely. You can see the rage in Brooks' eyes. Yep. Sadistic psychopath. Sherry Ballard really let Houck have it. Rest in peace, Crystal. Now maybe Mama can rest a little better. Yeah, this is amazing. That's all I have to say. Let's take a look.
Testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you, ma'am. You'll have a seat over here. Be careful, there is a step up when you get there.
My name is Sherry Ballard, and I am Crystal's mother. And I would like to say thank you to Judge Sims for being such a fair and honest judge. I'd like to thank Shane Young and Teresa Young and their whole team for doing such an outstanding job in prosecuting this case. I'd like to thank you to Steve Curie from the FBI and his whole team who worked nonstop to get me to the prosecution's office. Last but not least, thank you to everyone else that was involved in between, who without all of you, there may not have been a guilty verdict. Thank you to all of you for your hard work and your dedication to my daughter's case. Oddly, Brooks, I would like to thank you. I would like to thank you for not fixing my daughter's tire for her, because that was your first big mistake. And thank you for looking at me. When you thought you had planned the perfect murder, I guess you're not as smart as you think you are. I sit here and I try to make sense of what the last 10 years of my life have been like. I don't think I would ever have the words to explain that to anyone. I no longer live the life I used to live. The changes you have caused in my life, Brooks Houck, is astronomical. I knew after a few interactions around you how fake you really were. I only wish my daughter could have seen it sooner. I remember one time when you got mad at me when you didn't come home to watch the kids like you promised Crystal you would do. But they were smart enough to call me when you didn't show up. I remember coming to the house and it was already getting dark and you had just got there. I was so upset and told you how I felt about you leaving those kids home alone. One of them being Eli, your own son, who was only around 2 years old at the time. You had the nerve to tell Crystal that I disrespected you. You have no idea how much I truly disrespect you today. I watched you treat my daughter with the most disrespect a man could ever treat a woman. I remember a time when you sat at my kitchen table for hours with her daddy, asking him how, and every question in the book on how to build a house. Never once did my husband get rude with you, not one time. Instead, he sat there for over 2 hours, tired and ready for bed, still answering all your questions. How much respect did you show Tommy Ballard? And let's not forget the reason you were at my house to begin with. The reason you were there is because you didn't show up on time again to pick up your child so Crystal could get to work on time. So she brought her kids to me. Your second big mistake was underestimating the love me and Tommy had for our daughter. Crystal was such a sweet and loving person. She was a great mother. She deserved so much more than you could ever have given her. For your mother to have the nerve,
Absolutely, Hiawatha. I think
to
so.
think that my daughter was not good enough for you is a joke. It's more than I can comprehend. It's truly unbelievable. Let's talk about the times you treated my daughter and her kids with such rude behavior. Leaving them in the dark when you would remove their light bulbs from their rooms because they forgot to turn off a light. They were kids. Taking the bedroom door off the hinges because they forgot to shut the door. Cutting off the water supply on purpose so they didn't have running water. And
That's
I know
fucked
that
up.
because my daughter called me. Leaving my pregnant daughter sitting outside your driveway because you wouldn't give her a key to your house when she first moved in. Brooks, I listened to the phone calls you made while in jail, and you want people to feel sorry for you? You don't deserve that privilege. How pathetic is that? I also remember bringing the kids home from CCD class, and I would stop and get them pizza and a soft drink. And they would hide in their room because they told me you would eat it all.
Jesus.
For 10 years, I have suffered the pain of losing my daughter. Never once have I seen you shed one tear, not one tear. Never once have I heard you say you were worried about where she was or what might have happened to her. You sat there worried more about your family's name than the woman you shared a child with that you supposedly cared about. For years, I took all of your arrogant and negative treatment when I saw you in public. Your sarcastic attitude that you would rub in my face, knowing I was fighting for visitation for my grandson, and I couldn't say anything because you always used it against me in court. I took all that with my head held high while I was dying inside.
It's a very strong woman.
Every day I watched your family go on about their pathetic lives while mine was being ripped apart. I can say that the only thing I feel for you today, Brooks House, is contempt. I pity that you don't even have God in your life.
And psychopaths hate that kind of shit. Like when you start painting them in a bad light and making them look like all the things that they try to hide, right? The sexually sadistic, all of the bad parts, the bad parenting, all those things that they can hide in public, right? The compartmentalization, everything that they've hidden in the back. I feel like Crystal's mother is just kind of like putting it all out there for the world, right? She's cleaning out his closet. And it's that psychological approach that I think is really hitting him right now. I think it's getting to him. Very tactful, very strategic, and I'm really enjoying this, especially the eye contact and when she starts to call out the family members.
Your brother Nick Howe, or am I supposed to call him Nicholas?
Nicholas, piece of shit
mentions
cop.
to you in your phone calls to him that you
Crooked
shouldn't
cop.
worry because we're only here for a little while. Well, I can tell you that you better worry because when that little while runs out, you won't be answering to your mama, your brother, your sister, the courts, or any of those people. You will be answering to the most important person of all.
God.
So yes, you should be worried. I heard your conversation about not being a religious person and you were ashamed to ask God for anything. That's so sad. That's so sad. I can tell you that when Brian Butler was doing your closing statements, I was praying the whole time. You can admit your guilt, Brooks, and you can tell me where my daughter is, and that's your forgiveness from God. Proverbs 28:13, he that covers his sin shall not prosper, but whoever confesses and forsakes them shall have mercy. That's your forgiveness. I pity you mostly because you have lost a child, because I know how
Somebody
that
should
feels.
send that to Richard Allen.
Maybe now you have a very small portion of the pain I have had for the last 10 years. The difference, though, is that you chose to lose your child. I had no say in losing mine. I miss my daughter every second of every day. I can say that one day I feel like I will see my daughter again. I'm not so sure you could say the same thing about your child. I pray that one day you will grow a heart and have the decency to tell me where my daughter is so we can have a proper burial for her. You owe that much to your own son. And my daughter deserves that. Her kids deserve that. I do hope that every day you're incarcerated, you see my daughter's beautiful face. And you think about the evil you have committed and how many lives you have destroyed. I pray this haunts you for the rest of your miserable life. My daughter was so much better than what
son
your
of a
mother
bitch.
made her out to be. I know for sure she would never have taught her children to grow up to become murderers. The depths of pain I have felt over the years is more than I think a human body could ever withstand. Still, I sit here today because all the pain that you have inflicted on me gave me that much more strength to prove how guilty you are and what a worthless human being you are. God willing, I pushed on. And I taught my kids and Crystal's kids how strong a family could be when the pain becomes overwhelming. Brooks out. You took a mother from 5 kids who are young and dependent on their mother's love to survive. You
I
stole
hope
their
so.
whole future away from them.
I hope so.
You know, me and Tommy never once said in court you were a bad father. Never once. You can say that we never did that. I look back now and can I forgive myself for that? I don't know. How did I ever say that? Who takes a mother from their child?
Absolutely,
I will
Hiawatha.
never
I love
understand
this.
Brooks. You stole their whole future away from them. Somehow these kids didn't let the ugliness you inflicted on their lives destroy them. They pushed on and lived each day in memory of their mom. This was not easy for them. No child should lose their mother the way you took theirs. You had no sympathy
Absolutely,
or concern
Sparky.
for
That's
anyone
that's
but
my
your own
opinion.
selfish being.
He got too
You
close.
took your own son's mother from him. You erased every picture and every memory Eli had of his mother. You kept him from his loving grandparents and his siblings and a whole entire family that loved him very much. I guess my definition of love is much different than yours.
What's up, Eli?
But I have no doubt your actions have proven this to be true. Brooks, you had zero concern for my daughter. She came into my kitchen a week or two before you murdered her, and she was so upset. She said to me, Mom, I can't leave because he will take Eli away from me. That's how much my daughter loved her son. I tried to tell her you couldn't do that because she was a very good mother. She proceeded to say, but he has money and a house and he will take him. I didn't understand at the time why she was so scared, but after hearing Christina Hawley's testimony in court, where she heard you say no one will take Eli because you have money and that's not going to happen, it hit me right in the face. I clearly understood where my daughter got that conception.
Yep. She's just
I
repeating
still
what
think about
his
the
threats.
conversation every day. In the long run, Brooks, you didn't get Eli.
Right? She's giving him hints like, "Hey, I'm thinking about leaving you." And Brooks is saying, "If you leave me, like I'll get full custody. I have all this money. You have nothing. You'll just have to go live with your parents." Like basically creating these psychological chains. Like he's chaining her up with all this fear and kind of using her. It's ignorance, right? Young parents are ignorant of the system, how it works. Like what is a custody battle? I've never had to deal with this, and now I have my husband threatening me about custody. You might be overwhelmed by it. So that's just basically she's repeating everything that he had yelling at her as far as him having money, a nice house, and that he'll get custody. She's just kind of projecting her fears and most likely repeating what he was screaming at her.
Either, because you chose to murder his mother, and now you will spend the rest of your miserable life in prison where you belong.
Thank you, Sparky.
How does that make you feel? Because I know how upset my daughter was even thinking about losing her son.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
In your conversation to your sister Rhonda, you mentioned getting into a parenting program. I honestly don't know what parenting program would even, I don't know how they know how to respond to you. If you loved your son so much, you would never have murdered his mother.
Yeah, tell that to a psychopath, right?
Because I have fought for justice for
Sadistic
my daughter,
psycho.
his mother. One day, he will be old enough to figure out everything I am saying is true, and that you, Brooks House, is responsible for the death of my daughter. Brooks, you also mentioned that when you got the conviction, the only thing you and your partners in crime could come up with is that the jury knew more about this case. That's an insult to the man and woman who sit on that jury every day. I watch these people taking notes and asking questions, so their decision could be based on the facts and not hearsay. Have you ever considered that maybe just once people saw through all your lies you've been telling for the last 10 years? The day I met you at your truck, you knew exactly what happened to my daughter. You weren't concerned about her at all. Instead, you went about your daily life happy she was no longer in it. You, Brooks House, are narcissistic. You are so self-centered, and the only person you think about is yourself and your own needs at the expense of others. You thought you could break me down, leave me desperate for answers and closures, and just crumble. You are a bully. You try to classify others as inferior to you and unworthy, just like you did to Crystal. You thought your hostile humor was funny, just like when you switched the bullet out in Crystal's gun when you all were trap shooting, so it would kick back and bruise her shoulder. I didn't appreciate your so-called humor. How you found an attorney that would take your case.
Yeah, remember this, guys. There's always red flags for creeps, right? We've learned like they might use dirty jokes to try to, try to push your limits to see how far you'll take things, and then before you know it, they're trading CSAM amongst each other, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to fill out your moral compass. What's your level of depravity? So that's what, when people are telling dirty jokes or they make little comments, sexual innuendos, just be careful. A lot of times those are red flags. Those are predators putting out their feelers to see how dark and how deep into the darkness you're willing to go.
And defend you is so hard for me to understand. Then again, we all heard about the money that you paid for just a witness. I guess the saying, money is the root of all evil, is true. And what about your mother, Rosemary Houck?
Oh, it's my favorite part.
There's another saying that's true. They say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, fuck them all.
I feel as much contempt for your mother as I do for you.
Say something, bitch.
She should set a good example for her children that a mother could be proud of. Instead, she taught her children hatred, greed, and evil behavior. Your mother, Rosemary Houck, is a true disgrace of what a mother really is.
Damn.
The real reason she didn't like my daughter was
Ice
because
cold.
she was not raised to be dishonest, greedy, or evil. How could she lead her children to the destruction and murder of my daughter? How could she steal a mother from 5 children? Even her own grandchild. She never even blinked an eye when her son was convicted of life in prison. I don't understand that. Did she honestly hate my daughter so much that she would sacrifice her own son?
Cold as ice.
Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying, because I know, Brooks Houck, you had your own selfish reasons for murdering my daughter.
Yeah, she's like, don't get it twisted.
Brooks, what about your selfish lying sister, Rhonda Houck?
Damn. Going after the
She, too,
sister
is a
now.
disgrace to mothers around the world. I believe her and her entire family knows what happened to my daughter.
Yep, they do.
She pretended to be friends with my daughter until the day that Crystal got that cheap embroidery machine. Then she got mad and wouldn't talk or even speak to Crystal because she thought she was infringing on her so-called business. How sad is that? She wanted a reason to dislike my daughter so bad that she grabbed at any opportunity. She knew my daughter would not participate in any of her family's sick and evil ways. I guess I'm going to ask you these questions, Brooks. Did you ever think of how my daughter felt when you murdered her? Did she feel any pain? Did you make sure Crystal knew what you were going to do to her? Did Crystal beg for her life, knowing she had 5 children to come home to?
Jeez.
And family that really loved her and depended on her? Where is my daughter?
You son of a bitch.
I can tell you, I've thought about these questions many days and many nights. I honestly don't know why I'm even asking you these questions, because I know you're not even man enough to own up to what you did to my daughter.
Absolutely.
I know your sister won't, by her actions and her lies on the witness stand when she was under oath. She cared nothing about my daughter. So disrespectful of her, even to the point that she named her own son Eli.
Yeah, what's that shit?
Just to be mean and ugly to my daughter. Your sister mentioned on the stand that you all had family functions at the farm, but your brother, Nick Haupt's girlfriend, Amber Bowman, said under oath that she barely knew Crystal. What kind of family dinner is that? That you sit at the same table and you don't even know each other? Not the kind that your sister tried to portray on the witness stand. She talked about being scared and threatened, but wasn't it her and your father who confronted my youngest daughter and proceeded to rear end her, causing her to wreck her car? But your family
Damn, that sounds
threatened?
crazy.
Brooks House, you talked to your brother on the phone and you mentioned the journey your life is taking. Do you think it might have something to do with your actions in murdering my daughter? You also mentioned the last 10 years were the best of your life. Is that a coincidence? These years were the years after you murdered my daughter? Not in one
He
phone
celebrated
call
it.
that I heard did you mention that you were innocent. Not one time. You showed no feelings or empathy for my daughter. Your brother Nick mentions to you this is like a dream. Well, this has been a nightmare for me that you and your sick and evil family created for me and my family. You mentioned with your pathetic voice that you want to be brought up to your son, while at the same time you erase everything about my daughter from him. I can say that your dream has become like my nightmare because I will never give up fighting for justice for my husband. He was a true epitome of what a real father is like. I will personally be at every parole hearing you will ever have, and I will bring an army with me if that's what it takes to keep you behind bars. You also mentioned you got convicted because of the mayor, the governor, and the attorney general. I can promise you that's not why you were convicted. You were convicted because you murdered my daughter. I pray you never see the light of day. I pray that you wear that turtle suit every day with no
Turtle
underwear.
suit.
I pray you will only have your sick little plastic spoon. I pray you will always have to sleep on that mat on the floor. Oh, but I forgot, as you quoted in your interview, you are a full-blooded male.
I could see that
So you
badass.
should be able to handle prison life with no trouble.
He knows how the
I
system
myself
works.
don't honestly see that happening because you are a true coward. You murdered my daughter and then you hid behind all your pathetic lies. As far as your new girlfriend goes,
Fuck that bitch.
you're not as smart as you think you are. You think she's been so loyal to you? Ask her about the initial CH. You think she loves you so much?
Damn.
Maybe you should ask Mommy
Getting personal.
to keep a real eye on her and what goes on while you're sitting behind those bars. Brooks, you mentioned you didn't understand the plan for your life. I can promise you this had nothing to do with God's plan. This has everything to do with the choices you made for your own life. I think it's about time you admit to that, and now you will suffer the consequences. I hope you enjoy your new life in prison because I feel like I've been there for the last 10 years of my life because of you. My only regret is that Kentucky doesn't have the death penalty. But then I think death is too good for you. Even if I never
That shit
find
cuts
my
deep.
daughter, I know my daughter's with God. And that brings peace only He can give me. My memories of my husband and my daughter, you can never erase from my mind. I was very blessed with my time with them. I don't think you will be able to say the same about your family.
Cold as ice.
Hell is not a place where one feels peace. And you and your whole family will be united there one day. Like your brother Nick said, don't worry because we're only here for a little while. Your third big mistake, Brooks House, was killing my daughter. Now you're going to pay the ultimate price while you sit behind bars watching the whole world just pass you by. I hope you enjoy every second of it.
Yeah,
Brooks
Peggy.
House, you may have received a lifetime of prison, but I received a lifetime of grief and pain. You deserve yours. I don't deserve mine. Have fun with the rest of your life. I pray you receive as much grief and pain as you have caused me. And before anyone complains, I am wearing pink. Pink was my daughter's favorite color. And I think that is my God-given right to remember my daughter for the beautiful person that she was.
Hell yeah.
The person that you murdered, Brooks House. And as far as you go, Joey, I did not know you. I don't know you today. I'm sure there was a time when you were a little boy and you thought about growing up and what you were going to be when you grew up. I pray to God it wasn't a murderer. I pray that wasn't what you had in mind. I would think not, but you could have saved my daughter. You could have just come forward and spoke up, and you could have saved my daughter, and she would still be here for every one of those kids you see back there sitting in those chairs. Well, thank you. That's all I have to say.
Damn. She went scorched earth. That's very refreshing to watch. So that's Crystal Rogers, her husband, father of her child. Still have not found her body. All right. Because of time, we're going to kind of keep it moving here. We'll play a quick little video, an update for those of you who've been following the Madeleine McCann case. Number one suspect, Christian Bruckner. They say they have a lot of evidence on him, but they feel that it's not enough to find a conviction at this time. But he is their number one guy, and he was just released today.
Breaking news from Germany, where in the last hour, the main suspect in the disappearance of British toddler Madeleine McCann has been released from prison. Police confirmed Christian Bruckner was driven out of jail by his lawyer. The German national had been serving a sentence for an unrelated offence from 2005. German prosecutors say he is dangerous and should be fitted with an ankle tag. Bruckner denies any involvement in Madeleine McCann's disappearance. The 3-year-old vanished from the Portuguese resort of Praia da Luz in 2007. She and her siblings had been left sleeping in a holiday apartment while her parents went for dinner at a nearby restaurant. Well, let's get the latest from Bethany Bell, who's at the prison near Hanover in Germany. Bethany, bring us up to date.
Well, we saw a black car, we understand driven by Bruckner's lawyer. The windows were tinted. We couldn't see who was inside, but the police confirmed to us that Bruckner was inside that car. It was escorted by several police vans. The authorities have not said where Bruckner is going. We understand that he will be fitted with an ankle tag. Prosecutors who've said he is dangerous applied for that, and his lawyer and German media have reported that he will be fitted with an ankle tag, and also that he will have to surrender his passport.
And Bethany, why, when Christian Bruckner is considered the main suspect in the Madeleine McCann disappearance case, is he able to be freed from prison?
He was in prison for a separate offence, an unrelated offence. He was in prison for the rape of a 72-year-old American tourist in Portugal in 2005. The prosecutors have said that he has served his sentence and is being released for that. The prosecutors, though...
This is really scary. This guy right here is definitely going to reoffend. This is not somebody that can be rehabilitated at all, and was just freed today. So somebody's going to have to take the responsibility for that. European sentencing seems very different compared to the United States. You guys notice that? Like, you have killers getting 12 years. Very strange. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that. I just I don't know, I just get this really creepy feeling knowing that this guy, because we've covered this case extensively over the past couple years. You know, we know a lot about what happened and why he's deemed the number one suspect. So to know that he's free right now, young girls and women around him, they're just not safe. And you never know where he's going to end up. You never know. All right, so that was the update in the McCann case. Now we're going to move over to something that's somewhat breaking. This case is still developing. This person here is David Burke. You might know him. He goes by the stage name David, spelled D4 and then VD. Probably emphasis on the VD part. Okay, well, recently Celeste Rivas was found dismembered in the back of a vehicle that he had rented. His rented Tesla was found in an impound, and Celeste was found dismembered in the back of his vehicle. Here, let's read a little bit about this. You know what? First thing that popped into my mind about this case here, if he is the suspect, apparently he's on tour. It reminds me a lot of Emily Pike. Remember, she was dismembered and dumped along the side of a highway. You know, was this person on tour? Was this person in Arizona at the time of her disappearance? Same MO. You know, you just never know. That's just one of the things that popped into my mind. All right, David Anthony Burke, also known as David. David Anthony Burke, born March 28, 2005 in Queens, New York, is a 20-year-old American singer, songwriter, and producer, professionally known as d4vd, pronounced David. Raised in a religious household, he moved to Houston, Texas at age 13 and initially listened only to gospel music. His interest in secular music sparked after discovering artists like Extension and Little Pump during school. Burke began creating music to soundtrack his Fortnite gaming videos on YouTube, avoiding copyright issues by producing original tracks. He uploaded early songs like You and I and Take Me to the Sun to SoundCloud before gaining mainstream attention. Burke rose to fame in 2022 with viral singles such as Here With Me and Romantic Homicide, the latter peaking number 33 on the Billboard Hot 100s and earning platinum certification. He has over 33 million monthly Spotify listeners and has collaborated with artists like Kali Uchis, 21 Savage, Laffy, and Stray Kids. In 2023, he released EPs Petals to Thorns, which charted in multiple countries, and The Lost Petals. His 2024 output included 5 singles, one charting on the Hot 100. Currently on his Withered tour, Burke has scheduled 4 shows in Minneapolis, September 16th in Los Angeles, Greek Theater, and sold-out Grammy Museum performance planned. Let's catch up on the chat real quick. Madeleine parents should have been charged with neglect at the very least. Yeah, that was very reckless. Drinking and leaving your kids, 100 yards away in a strange place. Yeah, kind of a little bit weird. Take care, Hiawatha. He's a lunatic for sure. Psychopath laws are different than they are here. Louise, this case is crazy already. Absolutely. This case is definitely turning into quite the conspiracy. 14-year-old girl, evil. He wrote a song about her. Yeah, it looks that way. Never called his car and stolen either. Also, as of this, I think this morning they were searching property near where he left the vehicle. So he has a connection to a vehicle. So what have we learned about dismemberment? Usually that happens to make it easier on the assailant to move the body, right? This person, either because visually it might look suspicious, you're carrying a rolled up rug, like obviously you're going to be a suspect in the murder if this person is connected to you. But if for whatever reason you're just leaving a hotel room, let's say with your small luggage bags, but in those bags you have pieces of a person. So a lot of times I think that that's why they dismember their victims, is so that they can transport the body without drawing too much attention, or even because they aren't physically able to do it. So if she was found dismembered in the back of a trunk, he may have been interrupted, right? The killer could have been getting ready to make their escape and go dump the body on the side of a highway or at some strange dump site. Usually within 15 to 30 minutes. It's typical for what I've seen for people as far as their anchor points from where they're located to how far they're willing to drive. Hey, this looks like a good spot. But that's what I'm thinking. If he abandoned the car, he may have been interrupted, may have been expecting to be pulled over, or maybe they were just paranoid. And for whatever reason, instead of finding the dump site, they just left the vehicle. But that's what it seems like if this guy's involved. Otherwise, somebody's setting him up. Yeah, they're investigating him for sure, Sparky. Louise, from what I have read about him, he reminds me a lot of Extension XXX, who was also murdered during a robbery. Yeah, he forgot something and decided to abandon that vehicle. Most likely, right? All right, connection to the death of Celeste Rivas. Burke has been linked to an ongoing homicide investigation following the discovery of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body in a Tesla registered to him. Rivas from Lake Elsinore, California, went missing on April 5th, 2024, at age 13. Here's a timeline of key events. September 8th, LAPD officers responded to a foul odor at a Los Angeles impound lot where a black Tesla Model 3 had been towed after being abandoned about a month in the Hollywood Hills. So right now they're searching a house very nearby this vehicle. The vehicle was never reported stolen. Was registered in Hempstead, Texas, under Burke's full name, Anthony Burke. Inside the front trunk, they found a badly decomposed, partially dismembered body wrapped in a bag. So partially dismembered. So it sounds like whoever killed her was interrupted. September 16th through the 17th, the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner identified the remains as Rivas through forensics, dental records, and DNA. The cause of death was deferred pending further autopsy, but authorities are treating it as a homicide. Rivas' body had been there long enough for advanced decomposition, consistent with her disappearance timeline. So she disappeared and then was murdered. Hopefully this wasn't some kind of like Illuminati sacrifice that we hear so much about in that industry. So let's see what links Celeste to Burke. Both Burke and Rivas had a sh tattoo on their right index fingers. Photos show Burke's tattoo is recent, and Rivas' mother confirmed to TMZ that her daughter got it around the time of her disappearance. Yikes. See that shh? That's on that Illuminati shit right there. So hopefully she wasn't sacrificed. Hopefully he didn't sacrifice her thinking that it was going to somehow give him, eternal fame or whatever. Legend status. But then again, maybe somebody did make him a promise like that. Rivas' mother stated her daughter was dating somebody named David. Resurfaced to 2022 Discord chats and photos allegedly showing interactions between a young Burke who once tweeted he was 14, though born in 2005, and Rivas suggesting a possible romantic guy dating back years. Authorities are reviewing Burke's song lyrics for potential relevance, but have not confirmed prior contact. Burke was reportedly photographed in the Lake Elsinore area near Rivas' home before her disappearance. So yeah, a lot of circumstantial evidence here. Burke's representative stated he was informed and is fully cooperating with authorities. He has not been named a suspect or a person of interest, and no arrests have been made as of September 18th. The LAPD's investigation is ongoing, focusing on how the body ended up in the vehicle and any connections to Burke. All right, guys, that's it for my time. Like I said, we're working on formatting the channel to do something like this on a daily basis. It'll be Sleuth Intuition's True Crime a Daily Dive. So we have that to look forward to. And if you would like to support my channel, you could hit the Cash App. And if you can't hit the Cash App, please hit the like button. Special thanks to all my members. Thank you, Sparky, for supporting my channel. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat as well. And everybody else out there, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're part of the replay crew, let me know what you thought. Leave some comments, share the video, and please, please, please hit that like button. Everybody else, thanks for joining. I'll see you again real soon. Peace.